Welcome to another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I am your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and Peebush. How you guys doing?
Oh man, it's been an absolutely brutal tournament for me. I'm just going to continue that on from last week. My only hope is UCLA. We'll dive into the Sweet 16 here shortly, but that got cut short by an eventual Final Four team in UNC. But man, I'm seeing more red than Enron in 2002. Man, it's absolutely ridiculous. My bracket is completely gone. I have nobody left. Didn't have anybody left in the Elite Eight. I should say.
Yeah.
So since we last talked, it's been tough on the wallet too, man, with this betting. Just a lot of teams. Even though we got some top seeds, man, it just feels like a very different tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man. This is the saddest bracket I've ever made in my entire life. On ESPN, I'm in the bottom 40% right now. Absolutely atrocious. I feel like all my Final Four teams are gone. I got obviously no championship. Just none of my teams are alive. They're all dead. They're all dead, man. Even my sleeper pick, Purdue, which I was super hyped on last week, we lost to a freaking 15th seed in St. Peter's. A 15th seed who got exposed in the next round. They had a nice little Cinderella run, but then you play a real team in UNC had their butt whooped, but it wasn't even a contest. Yeah. That's what I was expecting.
Purdue wasn't a real team, I guess.
Oh, I guess they were, man. I guess they were. Jaden Ivey, you let me down, man. You're our 12-point Vegas favorite. 12-point consensus, and you blew it. Cost me some money. Cost me my brackets, multiple brackets. Cost me my NCAA championship picks. It was looking good, right? They were moving the odds up for Purdue. Oh, but they let me down, man. Cashed out $0, man.
You know what's funny? You know what's actually funny? The Peacocks of St. Peter's, I want to say, every year there's always a team that's for the Gulf Coast. All these teams that are like Cinderella teams, they make their run. But I feel like St. Peter's run was a little bit more unique because, and maybe it's just how social media is. I feel like they had way more people like on social media just going wild, and knowing like where their location is, it's kind of cool seeing just a team like where they're situated in New Jersey just going nuts because there's nothing else in New York. I mean, people claim the Nets, but I don't know any Nets fans, and they're kind of new. And as a Knicks fan, it's been kind of tough. So I guess it's cool to latch on to a team like St. Peter's. There was a lot of people claiming, my brother, their enrollment's not big. So all these people saying they know somebody that went there, I don't know. Their enrollment's not huge for that to be true. But I guess shout out to them for getting to the Elite Eight. And they got exposed like they should have. So,
yeah, it was bound to happen. I think we all saw it coming. I think there were a couple teams that we all saw coming losing in that Elite Eight. Not making it. And that was Gonzaga for me and Arizona for me. I know Sean put up a clip this past weekend, I think on Bullheaded Instagram, just about the Zona Houston game, man. But both of those teams coming off playing an 8-9 winner, as a 1 seed. Memphis gave Gonzaga a great game. They were pretty much in it the whole time. And we all talked about that was going to be – I think that was a little concerning. Drew Timme still had a great game against Arkansas, but Chet Holmgren clearly could not get anything going. And then you look over at Zona. And it's like TCU should have won that game with that. We talked about that last week with the whole half-court debacle, and obviously Zona pulled through an OT. But, man, Houston just manhandled them. They wanted to be there more. It seemed like they were more quietly getting it done than Zona was barely making it through and making a lot of noise. So I thought that the confidence that Houston had going into that was huge. Obviously, it got taken away from them pretty toughly against Villanova in only a 44-point performance. But a lot of these 1 seeds, man, I didn't expect the top seeds that are in the Final Four now to be the top seeds representing, at least going into the tournament. I thought it'd be kind of flip-flop. So even though we do have a bunch of top seeds, it just feels different, like I said earlier. So I don't know, man. It was weird to watch.
Yeah, man. Gonzaga, the analytics like Gonzaga this year, I didn't like them, but I went with the analytics, and oh my Lord, what an awful decision. My Lord. Because I look at their report card. There's a little Andrew Nembhard, little scrubby dubby, man. That dude was atrocious. Say bye-bye to your NBA dreams after that disgraceful performance. My Lord. 2 for 11? 2 for 11?
Yeah.
Go to Europe. That's the only job you're going to get, man. My
Overseas,
lord.
that's good money too. Not
Yeah,
NBA
you
money,
make good
but it's
money.
No, he ain't gonna be in the Euro League, that Madrid League, that Luka Doncic is in. He's gonna be in like
Australia or something.
he's gonna be
He'll
some
go to Russia.
random, it's a little German league. It ain't gonna be the top Euro League. He's gonna be in the bootleg Euro League.
Yeah.
Because my lord, that dude was atrocious, man. 5 turnovers.
That's
He
the
had-
biggest thing.
He
for
had
them.
more turnovers than points.
Yeah.
Or my lord, for field goals, man. Come on. Atrocious. Like, you got Drew Timmy out there, the mustache man going to work, man. He was carrying my God. That dude's a beast in college, man. That dude's like
Yeah.
He's a college
that
player.
dude's probably a top 5
He's a
college
psycho
basketball
T,
player, man.
man.
Dude, he is really, really good in college. I don't know if he's professional, but in college, he is freaking amazing. But man, his teammates let him down, man. Mr. Holmgren, man, 5 fouls, fouled out. After time,
11 points.
Yeah, second half, man. I saw the dude is just chilling on the bench with his teammates, man. I'm just like, God damn, they're supposed to be the number 1 draft pick. Stop it.
I don't know that.
No. He just doesn't pass the smell test, man. I'm just looking at him, man. He just looks like a bust, man. He just looks like a bust. But
I
man,
told you, boom or bust with him.
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm just like,
Someone's
My
gonna take
lord.
a chance, though.
That's
the thing.
yeah. But number 1 overall, I don't know about that. You gotta
That's
hit. You gotta be a grand slam, man. I don't know about Chet Holmgren being a grand slam with a 190, a $190, man. Stop it. But man, that was atrocious. Shout out to Arkansas for beating Gonzaga, but my lord, that the Mark Field guy keeps losing right now, man.
I know.
Keeps losing, and he
You
got
think-
close twice, man. He
Yeah.
got to the championship twice, and I'm sorry, those teams building those teams again, that's gonna be tough.
Right.
Because like those are some really, really amazing, talented teams, and I don't know that they're going to be able to keep recruiting like this because they'll have to if he wants to be able to go back to the national championship game because he has some legitimate NBA prospects. Like this year, you got 1, right? Holmgren. Outside of that, not many NBA prospects. So I
Last
don't
year
know
he had
about
a
their future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
last
Timmy
year.
will, Timmy will probably go in the second round. Let's be honest.
Second round?
He's like
No,
Luke
in the
Garza.
second round,
I
not
feel like
necessarily
last year.
Sacramento.
Like Luke Garza from Iowa was really good. Luke Garza, I think, might be better than Drew Timmy, but yeah, Drew Timmy is definitely a second round.
He
guy.
could shoot. That's why.
Yeah, I'm looking at Gonzaga's basketball recruiting, and they're 85th with 1 guy. So I don't know. It's not looking too good. Gonzaga definitely has earned a reputation now as being overhyped, and I think they try to make their in-season schedule a little bit tougher with scheduling out-of-conference teams in different leagues to try to get that test. But I think part of their problem is, which is no fault to their own, is when they schedule these teams, it's kind of in the beginning of the year because they're non-conference, and no team is really complete. You don't know your rotations yet. You're kind of still figuring out players.
Yep.
So you may catch these teams on what they won't be in, like, say, February. So, like, when you play a team, like if you were to play North Carolina in November, like how Gonzaga did, or they didn't, but if they did, they could play North Carolina, probably would have mopped the floor with them. Like, oh yeah, we can compete because we beat the hell out of North Carolina. But if you would have played North Carolina in the beginning of March or late February, that's a totally different team because they found a rotation, they got different types of stuff. They're running with sets, and I just think Gonzaga is a victim of their own success because if you really look back in the history of maybe just 20 years, they've been the best team on the West Coast. Like I know there's bigger name programs, but Gonzaga has been consistently in the tournament. And they've gotten, at least to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. But it always just seems with Gonzaga, game plan against them is just be tougher. They're just not tough. And the team, like Arkansas, people think Arkansas is like rack tag, but they got some dudes that can go. Like they got some guys that can play. But they just, in that game, they just look tougher. And, Chet got in foul trouble. Drew Timmy kind of has his basic skill set. But there's no other guy that you would be scared of. And Gonzaga, they just have kind of always been like the darling because they're out there in the West Coast and they just always manage to sweep their league they're in. But they're not a team. They're just not a team that, I was foolish because I've never, ever been high on Gonzaga. I don't know why I picked them in the championship game. I just thought Chet was going to go superhuman and he didn't. And that's really what the story was. And it sucks because, like in terms of just the bracket, I don't think, Arkansas and Duke, I just knew Duke was going to beat them down because Arkansas seemed like they won the championship beating Gonzaga.
Yeah,
and I keep talking. Yeah, it just seemed like they were just too high. Like it just wasn't going to happen. And I already know Duke is just how the storyline is setting up. We're going to talk about it later, but just Duke going to the Final Four. I just knew that was a lock, even though I had them like losing the Elite Eight. I just knew that was going to be a lot because that's just how it's going to go. And, other teams, I guess, within the other like regions, like my Arizona pick, I was so high on them because they made that shot, and I feel like TCU was going to be their toughest test. And then once I saw Houston play, I don't know who they played before they played Arizona, but once I saw that game, I was like, it is not looking good. And that's what Houston did. They just dogged it out. And Villanova, they're the same type of dog with Houston, but the difference is they got better athletes and better players. Like Villanova's always a scrappy team. Yeah. Like they always have that lead guard who's really experienced and who just knows how to run an offense. So they were able to get it done. Kansas is so weird. Like Kansas to me, I don't get like I don't have any hype around them. I don't see any like, yeah, that makes sense. That player, they just seem like a real well put together team. And I think too, I'm kind of jaded because they've always went out early in the like tournaments last couple of years. So I think I'm kind of clouded by that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they won it all because it just seems like they're the most complete team. But I'm not like excited about them. I'm just not. None of those are like out of all the four teams.
Is fun to watch.
Yeah.
Agbaji.
And Remy Martin, who shout out to his parents, has got the best name.
Absolutely.
If you're an alcohol drinker, you know what I'm talking about. Like he's got the best name, and if we could have their parents on the podcast, I guarantee you they did that intentionally. Like it's it's not like he's a junior. No, they did that intentionally. Like shout out to them. I just think that's cool as hell. But outside of him, like he's kind of a spark plug guy. He kind of reminds me of Frank Mason. Maybe not as good, but Frank Mason was another guard they had last year who he might still be in the NBA. But for me, it's definitely I think just the play of UNC that's probably surprised me the most and has me most excited in terms of Final Four teams. And I guess we could transition into the Elite Eight. I guess Final Four games. If you guys have any thoughts on that.
I mean, for me, like I said, Villanova just absolutely grinded it out against another grinding it out team in Houston. And that's what Villanova does, man. I mean, and to your point, Sean, when you were kind of talking about Gonzaga, right? I think for years, Villanova and Virginia were kind of like where Gonzaga was at. They obviously had much better competition than Gonzaga, but they were always losing in the first, maybe not the first round, but second round, Sweet 16, couldn't make it over the hump. Eventually, Villanova, they've been on a tear pretty much since, you could argue probably 2015, 2016 when they beat Marcus Page and UNC. Yeah. And then Virginia got over their hump after probably the most dismal first round performance. They needed to hit absolute rock bottom before they hit rock top. So, I think Gonzaga's been more relevant consistently than those two teams, but I think people are going to kind of go back to how they treated Nova and Virginia in years past and being hesitant now about putting Gonzaga, lock, easy, Final Four, lock, easy, Elite Eight. I think they're really going to have to start looking at how they analyze this team, especially if Chet's gone, and they don't bring in a great recruiting class like you brought up, Sean. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what, a team like, Nova, what they are now. They don't really have an NBA stud, and it's always worked for them. Their biggest NBA guy was probably Brunson, which is funny to me.
It is because they've had such
success.
Alumni,
yeah, they've had such success. It's a great school. But look, man, they're kind of like I guess you could kind of compare them to the Grizzlies a little bit. Their team chemistry is probably one of the best in the country. Their top five just meshes beautifully. Their starting five. They don't really play too many kids off the bench either. Most of these college teams only run maybe two off the bench. So depth with all these Final Four teams will be interesting. But I was definitely watching that Nova Houston game. And even though it was kind of boring to watch after a while, I was like, at least it's a competitive
Houston
game.
made like one 3-pointer, right?
Yeah. They went absolutely ice cold. They could not get Jamal going at all, Jamal Shed. He was definitely the downside for them in that game, putting up 44 points, man. That's embarrassing.
Man, so sad, man. So sad. So sad, man. I've never been so sad in March Madness. I look at this Elite Eight and Final Four. I'm like, man. I didn't see any of this coming. The only team I looked at Duke's talent. They had four NBA players, so I like that. They didn't have no lead guard, but then they got this little combo guy that plays like a lead guard too, averaging like 3 assists a game. So maybe it looks like it's Duke's year right now, but I don't know this year. Analytics have failed me. My trend.
Can't trust the analytics.
My analytics this year. I'm so lost this year, man. I looked at the analytics. It was fucking horrible, man. Freaking Blind Monkey probably could have done better than analytics this year.
Hey, Sean called it too.
Yeah, hey, pick the mascots next time, Zoo. Just pick the mascots.
No, stop it. But
favorite
this
color?
year, analytics have failed, but my trend is still alive, man. The
Oh.
week 4 to week 6 AP poll top 13 for 3 consecutive weeks. The last 2 teams that are remaining from this
Duke
trend,
and Kansas.
Duke and Kansas.
Yeah.
And you can easily see those teams win it all right now, obviously, because I don't know about you guys, HC, UNC winning it all. I don't see it.
I don't know.
They
Really?
got-
I don't know.
you could-
Really?
I think you could.
I don't
argue they
know.
have
You
the
want
best
your
starting five.
formula? Your formula about the NBA guard? I think Caleb Love has shown he has that type of capability because he's had some 30-point games in the tournament. It's
Only
just not
reason
consistent.
UCLA lost. He
Yeah.
he puts up 30. Are you
And he
kidding
shoots
me?
from like the logo, which is
Yeah.
it's crazy. He
What do
like
you
if you
do?
go look at his and he's another one of those guys. I said this about Elijah Moore in the NFL. Like when I see other I'm about to make this correlation.
I love
When
this.
I see other like really talented players in the league already talking about a kid that hadn't played yet, that always piques my interest. And I saw like the other day, I saw Tatum say something about Caleb Love. Now they got a St. Louis connection. I think I saw Trey Young say something about Caleb Love. So like when you look, if you go look at Caleb Love's history, he's like one of those like he's a 5-star. He was at the Team USA camps. He has that pedigree. So guys that kind of have that pedigree, even though he struggled in college, because part of his problem is he's basically a 2-guard who's a short 2-guard because he was brought in to be a lead guard, but RJ Davis is better at that. So like he's a shorter 2-guard, but like he's had a lot of NBA guys like rooting for him, and he has those explosions in the tournament. It's just not consistent to be like for him to be a first-round talent. But in terms of an NBA guard, he might be the only one left, just in terms of just the guard position. So that might be. That's why I'm kind of high on UNC.
Yeah, because Kansas, they just drive, man. I mean, they don't. I mean, they do shoot the ball relatively well. That game against Miami was an absolute game of halves. Miami clearly dominated in the first half.
Yeah.
What was his name? McGusty, absolute monster. He puts up 17, 18 in the first half. I don't think he scored in the second half. They put up 17 total. That kid had more in the first half than his entire team did in the second half. And I think that Kansas, I don't know how far we want to preview into this, but like Kansas needs to come with that intensity on the defensive side when they're playing Nova this coming game. Because if Nova's a good 3-point shooting team, I think they shoot around 36% as a team. And everybody said every time, if you can make your threes against Kansas, you're probably going to win the game, because if you can just kind of build that little like 1-point cushion every time they go down and get 2, you get 3, build up a couple stops here and there. If it's a grinded out game and it's close in the end, I'm taking Nova. Absolutely. Because they're the best free throw shooting team in the country. I think they play the better defense of any team. But if Kansas does what they did to Miami even a little bit, Nova has no chance. So it's really going to come down to Kansas's intensity, I think, and how much they really want it right off the bat.
I agree with that.
My Lord. I'm at a loss of words.
Zoo doesn't even know what to pick anymore. He doesn't want to lose more money.
Yeah,
Dude, at this point, he's
man.
like,
It's been a rough week of betting. It's been a rough week of betting and a rough week of college basketball and a rough week of NBA basketball. It was just a rough week, man.
Clouds.
Man, these are the games I watched the game. I'm just at a loss of words, man. A loss of words giving me nightmares, man.
So you have no belief in Kansas, Zoo?
Nah, dude. Kansas, man, I look at Kansas roster, man. I'm like, God damn, they're in the Final Four. Still
They're
can't
just
believe
kind of
it, man.
they're kind of Kansas is just weird because I guess they don't have a guy where you can point to. And I don't think anybody on their team that's been like, like how March Madness does their little clips and whatever of teams, like everything they've done with them has been like a team effort. And plus too, like I said, I'm kind of jaded by Kansas because they've had I've seen them, I picked them before and they've lost in the second round and Sweet 16.
Maybe it's their year, man, to break through.
Might
man.
be.
Since 08, was that the last time? 08?
Yep, Mr. Mario.
Yeah, Chalmers.
Yeah.
That game against that legendary game against D-Rose. That was such a legendary game.
Yeah.
Legendary game. Shout out. You know what else? I think one thing I will say about Duke and UNC, which is it's been talked about
So
since
great.
Sunday.
Freaking
The fact
storybook ending, man. This is like a
Come on.
redemption for Duke
The
right
fact
now.
that-
You got to say it. You got to say it.
It's a storybook ending.
It is.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I kind of feel like St. Peter's, them having that run
Oh my
was almost they died for Duke and UNC to happen. because I don't think because wouldn't UNC have matched up with Kentucky if Kentucky went all the way?
Or Purdue.
Yeah,
obviously.
I think that the game wouldn't have happened if UNC had to match up with those teams. So I kind of think with St. Peter's making the run they did, they had a cool story going to the Elite Eight, but then they ended up faltering, and they were like the scapegoat for UNC to then advance to the Final Four. But that's the game. The Kansas and Villanova game is cool, but there's a reason why Duke and UNC is coming on at like 8:30 that night. Like it's going to be a colossal game, and for me, UNC beating Duke, I think a lot of that, I guess you could say a majority of it is because it was Coach K's last game. A lot of emotions was into it, and I felt like UNC had been so kind of like so before that, so you kind of they left your guard down. So I feel like the smart, pick, and if you're using your brain, would be to pick Duke because they're going to be focused and ready to go. Plus, two, it is a rivalry game, but I also think the refs, not saying no conspiracy, I just think naturally they're going to lean towards Duke on some stuff. Like, for instance, in the second half, if UNC has a 10-point lead, trust and believe Duke's going to get in that bonus by the 15-minute mark. They're going to get in the bonus early because they're going to get to the free throws and it's just going to be easier. But I will say an X factor in that game is, and he's not an NBA guy. He's been there for 4 years, but he is kind of versatile in how he plays as Leaky Black. He came into Carolina as like a point. Like he was a 6-7 point who could like distribute, play good defense, and they wanted to work on his shot. Well, his shot really hasn't came. He can make a open three, but in terms of him like shooting, he can't do that. But he's a really good defender. Like he could defend 1 through 3 really well. And I think that's what they did in the first matchup. Like he was able to switch through, the first two guards and kind of switch on Paolo a little bit. Now Paolo's kind of a load to handle kind of in the paint, but he's able to do at least a lot of switching. So I think that's why UNC was able to kind of stay with them and then blow them out in that game against Coach K because he just has a lot of defensive versatility. And then, like you say, too, you pointed to Caleb Love. People, it's like he has the chance. If he doesn't explode, I expect RJ to. And Manic, the guy, the swing guy, like he doesn't miss. Like his shots are not even hitting the rim.
No, he's an Oklahoma kid, man.
Yeah, he's just shooting the lights out, which is just wild. Because UNC, if you think about their depth, they don't have any depth. I don't even know who their sixth guy that comes.
That was probably the biggest surprise to me is all their starting 5 each ran 33 minutes.
Yeah,
and 3 of those 5 played 39 out of 40 minutes. Now, granted, it was against St. Peter's, and they weren't obviously as on edge as they would against a Duke game in Final Four in Coach K's last year. I do think it's obviously building up to something massive. Duke's got that chip on their shoulder, Sean, 100%. Yeah. I think Beckett's going to need to have a good game for UNC, the big man. He put up 20 and 20 against St. Peter's. I don't care who you're playing. In college, that is impressive. You don't see that often, if ever. Don't know who else has been able to do that. But I do think that the guard play of UNC is going to have to outplay the size advantage that Duke has in their forward and back and front court. So it's really going to come down to which of those, because they kind of offset, in my opinion. Obviously, UNC is a bit smaller, but they're much quicker. It's really going to come down to if the guards at UNC can play. And like you said, man, Caleb and RJ isn't a bad duo to rely on. At least
RJ, I love dude. RJ, every time I watch RJ Davis play, I like if he was just like a tick. Maybe like if he was 6 foot and like maybe a smidge faster, I would love him in NBA because his shot is so smooth. It's such a smooth shot, and he can get to the bucket. He gets to the bucket more so off angles. He's not blowing by guys, but he's dirty. But with all that, I think who I'm going to pick probably for Final Four is UNC and Nova. I think that's what I got.
Wow,
the double upset.
Just go off the grid.
Wow, double.
I think I'm gonna go with UNC Villanova.
I think I'm going Duke Nova. I do think if you're looking for a storybook ending, they definitely want to put another blue blood coach up against Coach K. And you can't go wrong between Jay and Bill Self.
2 coaches that don't age.
No.
They
Jay
Wright the same forever.
Still looks like he does private equity in New York City, man. Absolutely. Straight in Philly, man.
He seems like a guy that's got like a condo. Like he seems like a coach that's like lives in a condo, like a really luxury condo, which he probably lives in a nice house, but he lives in a luxury condo somewhere in South Jersey or South Philly, whatever. South Jersey, South Jersey.
Either one. But I think both these games are going to be great. Duke UNC. What else can you say about it, man? I mean, it's just the rivalry that everybody talks about.
Yeah, man.
And UNC's got confidence, but Duke's got that chip on their shoulder, like I said. So Coach K is going to be riding them, man. And I do think he's going to get some calls.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think
top it off. Nothing else.
I'm picking completely with just like good. I don't. If UNC's leading at halftime, trust and believe Duke will be in the bonus rather quickly. It's just come on.
Got to keep it close.
Yeah. It just looks like Duke's year now, man.
You think so?
They ain't losing. They ain't losing back-to-back games to UNC.
Yeah,
that
would
happening.
be so tragic if that did.
Oh,
yeah. I cannot see that happening. So Duke's gonna get the dub and move on to the championship game. And I'm going with Kansas, man. I'm going with Kansas.
Yeah,
for the trend, man. For the
just to keep this trend going.
Oh, please. I love my trend, man. Biggest
predictor
in college basketball, man. I'm telling you, man, it's an underrated stat, and it's gonna keep on rolling, man. Like I don't know about the NBA guard this year. Who knows gonna come out of these teams? But all I know, the trend will stay this year, man. The trend will stay, and it looks like it might be Duke getting it done, man.
Yeah. It kind of does. They
got 4 NBA dudes, man. They just got all the talent.
They might have 5, dude. Their center's freaking good.
Yeah, he's good.
Did you see him in the last? Or I think it might have been Arkansas or Texas Tech. Like he had like 12 and 12. Just like he's super active, can jump, can run. I don't know what his shot is, but
he's like James
Wiseman.
Like
really active. Yeah. Wow. I don't know about that. Even though shout out to my boy Wise,
because
he got off the men. Got off the men. He got off the men and then got put back on the men. So
yeah.
So we're gonna be playing the waiting game with him.
What a bust!
Yeah,
now about Williams.
Yeah, Mark Williams.
Yeah, he's already projected NBA player. The only non-NBA player is the freaking point guard. Yeah. He's actually been pretty good.
Yeah, he's clutch. He's
like the Roach guy. He's actually been pretty solid.
He had some big shots for them the past couple of games.
Yeah, he's been solid,
especially against Texas Tech.
I think out of all those guys that are projected, I think Griffin is a guy I'm starting to like a whole lot more. He looks a lot like Butler. Just his movements, like he looks like if he gets a team where they give him the ball, and plus too, he's like, and I like measurables, and you know, the ultimate measurable guy is THC being 6'4" and 7'4". I think his measurables is like he's like 6'6" and 7'1".
You're still measuring that scrub.
Hey man, I'm a measurables guy, dog.
Hey,
and that
he's got the half game.
Oh no, he. You guys are what we can talk. We're gonna talk about this off the pod, but I got a theory with the THT whole. I got a theory. I just thought of the
theory of why he sucks this year. No, he just sucks,
not why he sucks, but a theory on like his whole maturation of like when he came in and like what he is now, like how that kind of all.
And there's, we all know there's going to be a player like that coming out of one of these 4 teams. There always is, man. I mean, who knows? Bradley, man, it could come in just be an absolute sniper, be the new Kelly Olynyk.
He could be, yeah, because he's got a shot.
Yeah, I think UNC, NBA has the most top-heavy talent, but like across the board, UNC and Kansas have like the most balanced lineups, just like across every single position. And then there's just Nova, who just pulls the San Antonio Spurs and finds a way to get it done. Man, they're always relevant. So these 4 teams,
Wright might be the best evaluator out of all.
I think he's the most fundamentally good coach out of all of them. The other ones just have a slight up on recruiting and maybe money.
Yeah. Coach K, the one thing about his program, though, is with Shire, he's definitely not slowing down because they got like the top 4 guys in McDonald's. I was watching on a Bullhead Instagram, but seeing the McDonald's All-American, like they've replaced Kentucky with that now.
Mm-hmm.
They're the premier.
It took him a while. Coach K, it took him a while until he really got like a true one-and-done stud, I think.
Yeah. Kyrie, I think, kind of.
Kyrie started the train, man. Yeah. Kyrie started the Duke.
He did.
Made it cool.
At its most like lowest level, man. He played 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even need to go to school, but
he really did.
he blessed Duke.
To be a small guard, he really didn't need to go to school. He
blessed their ticket sales.
Yeah. Kyrie was crazy, but yeah. So we're gonna see. You know, everything we're saying on this podcast is probably like in terms of it is 4 teams, so one of us has to be right. But it could be a different prediction. It could just be chaos. That's just how the tournament is. This year, more than most, has been just crazy with games. So who knows, man? Who freaking knows? I will be interested.
A random number generator. Once again,
press the button. Just go ahead and press the button and see.
You got better odds this time.
Yeah, I will say that. I kind of want to see after this whole tournament is done what the Duke UNC number gets. Like, I wonder how high that game gets, and I just want to keep that number and see like what any NBA playoff. I just want to see what it does versus NBA playoff game first round or even a
compare it to
play
the
in.
Nova game and see what the difference is
that's
there.
gonna get trounced. That's probably gonna.
Yeah, but like just
trounced.
compared to every other Final Four game too, it's interesting.
Yeah, you could probably compare it to Final Fours in the past. But I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, tournaments coming down to end. College basketball has been unpredictable. NBA's been kind of predictable, but now there's been injuries. There's been a lot of stuff going on with seeding, especially in the Eastern Conference. It's going to get real interesting in the next couple of weeks to see where teams are seeded, because where you get seeded in the Eastern Conference is going to determine your fate, which is kind of crazy to say because we've never said that about the Eastern Conference.
It's wild.
That's true.
Wild, man.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is
Bobcats in the first round.
Man.
No hate. They're the Hornets now.
My Lord, man. It's wild, man. First 4 seeds are all within half a game.
That's incredible.
And then you got the bottom 2 seeds right now fighting for their lives to be outside the play-in tournament between 1 to 2 games right now. So right now, nothing is locked right now.
Let me tell you, dog. Toronto, if they play Brooklyn, I don't know, bro.
Yeah, Kyrie
Toronto
can't play,
is freaking. Siakam put up 40 the other day, and now they got 3 kind of like really good wings.
Man,
they got Van Vliet. Like, I don't know, man. Like, if they're 7, right?
Yeah.
So there's no Kyrie.
That's the only place he can't play now.
So that means if Brooklyn loses that, then it's like.
No, the thing is, not only the Toronto.
They got another chance, though.
But
they get another chance. But I'm just saying that means Brooklyn
against
would be,
a non-Canadian team, though.
Yeah, but then they would be 8 if they win.
Yeah, they play the Heat.
Well, isn't it Boston's number 1 now, or did they lose?
Yeah, it switches every day.
Heater up the heater up the game on.
If you lose, you're dropping.
Yeah.
But crazy part is
people gonna tank.
But what's called that Toronto matchup is interesting because legitimately any unvaccinated player cannot go to Toronto.
Yeah.
So pretty much whoever they're going to have a legitimate home court advantage depending on who they match up with, and that home court might prevent a star from playing. Because I don't know if you guys saw that Boston Celtics, they had 3 guys out. Robert Williams obviously with injury, but Tatum and Jaylen Brown suspiciously couldn't play the games in Toronto for some reason. And a reporter asked, "Are your guys players vaccinated?" And they said no comment. So obviously, one of the potential stars on Boston
other ones, man.
is not vaccinated. So if they play against Toronto,
how incredible!
My projection, I'm guessing, is Jaylen Brown is not vaccinated, so that might potentially make them Toronto, man. That home field advantage. I'll tell you, man.
He's pulling for his Raptors championship hopes, man.
Toronto, man, dude, they got a home field advantage, man.
They do.
My lord. And another reason I hate Toronto, though, is, man, Scotty Barnes, man. Why is he so much better than Patrick Williams?
Why do you keep bringing that up?
Man, I keep bringing it up because I see Patrick Williams, and this dude's putting up Troy Brown Jr. numbers.
Because this is what I don't like about Zoo. Zoo acts like injuries don't exist.
Stop.
He says the same thing about Wiseman. He's been hurt for 2 years. He's the same thing about Patrick.
I just had the Bulls game on, right? And right before we hopped on podcast, Patrick Williams made a beautiful cut, caught it in the middle of the lane, went to do a little floater, and he lost it in his hand. He just lost it. I said, that's right. He hasn't really been able to grab anything with that hand for 6 months or whatever. I'm going to cut him a little slack.
He's a top 4 pick. I don't give it to him, man. He's a top 4 pick. Wow. He's not the 40th pick. He's a top 4 pick. I want results.
Obviously.
Results.
Of course.
Well, if you like you said,
he'll get there.
I think I pretty much was on record. I think I told you I love Scotty because he has the ability to dribble and he has the ability to create. He did it at Florida State. In college, that's probably the kind of if you looked at how Scotty was kind of showed and
he's like
Florida State. He wasn't played like
forward, man. He's a point forward.
Same thing with maybe could be with Chet. Like Chet, even though he's 190 pounds, like he might get unleashed in the NBA because at Gonzaga they didn't really play him well.
Same size as all the guards.
They didn't. That is true.
He wouldn't be able to back down Kyle Lowry. Let's be honest here.
No, you're right. I think that Kyle Lowry, there's a couple of guards that could definitely hold their own in the post with Chet easily. So I don't know. We're gonna see the NBA. Interesting. Seeding is going to be crazy. NFL's been kind of a little quiet. Only really huge news has been Baker, which at this point I'm kind of tired of that storyline. So
Man, ain't a story, man.
yeah, who cares?
He's
He's just relevant because he was the number one pick. But something could break there. He could get cut, and that might be some news. So we'll definitely keep you guys in tune with that. Make sure you guys follow us on bullheaded_pod. Daily content, a lot of March Madness stuff, women's bracket. You already know I'm going with the South Carolina Gamecocks. Even though UConn looked kind of scary last night. I don't know if you guys watched that game. That game was kind of crazy. They went 2 overtimes with Louisville. So content about that, things of that nature. Make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, the whole 9. And for me, Zoo and P. Bush, we're out.